when the general manager, the owner of the company, thinks something like that, the first thought that it comes in their mind is AI is in the technology side. So it's the technology people who needs to solve the AI for the company. And that's paradigm, right?
Okay, that's fascinating. We have talked about that before. I'm in full agreement with you. AI is not an IT issue.
Right.
Hey, are you AI ready? Most businesses and professionals aren't, and a seismic shift is 12 to 18 months out. The preparation starts now. The Are You AI Ready podcast brings you weekly conversations with the strategists, specialists, and industry leaders who understand what AI readiness actually requires and what you need to be doing about it. I am so happy today on this episode of the Are You AI Ready podcast that I have Eduardo Cerda, straight from Monterrey, here talking with me. Eduardo, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thanks to you, an honor to be in your first episode of this brand new program. And I'm more than ready and happy to share some information and have a good chat and long chat related to AI.
Well, we have had more than a few long chats related to AI. When I first met you last year at the Universidad Politécnico de Yucatan, when you were
Right.
speaking there, since then, we've had many conversations, fascinating conversations about AI, but also AI as it pertains to what's happening in America, what's happening in Mexico, and what it means for business people, for professionals. But more than that, more than the usual fascinating chats that I find myself in with you, you have a book coming out. Dropping on March the 4th, you've got a brand new book called AI with a Compass. And I've seen that you've been very vocal about organizations rushing into IA sin rumbo or rushing into AI with no direction. And I've also seen you quoting Seneca occasionally on LinkedIn and in conversations. If one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable. So that just piques my curiosity. I am wondering, what are you seeing right now in business that inspired you to this compass metaphor?
Well, this compass metaphor comes with me for a long time, more than 30 years. Since I began my business career, I always had this big picture of the boat with the Seneca phrase on the bottom, because being in the IT was being like very common, very typically that some people try to do things without direction. So it's been like forever in my life. So now that I see AI behaves in the same concept, but the thing is the AI accelerates faster. So it's kind of that I go like, that concept that is always on my mind. We need to put it on with more effort right now because AI accelerates everything. So if you're doing in a wrong way, you're gonna accelerate the wrong way, right?
Exactly. You're going to veer all that further off course,
Maybe off, right?
which is why so few companies are actually getting any ROI from their AI adoption or initiatives. So, what are you seeing in business right now
Well,
with companies who are trying to
right.
adopt AI?
What I have seen in this, the AI, Gen AI, it's new. Like three is OpenAI came out with the ChatGPT and all
Yeah.
these, right? So what I have seen is a lot of people wants and have the need of the hype. I want something in my company related to AI. And it's more like the hype, more than thinking of what problems will require to solution in my business. And then you put in some effort, maybe sometimes a lot of effort, doing something without results because for the hype is really having a lot of derailing concepts, right?
That's interesting for me. So, from what you're seeing, is it that people just want to get on board with AI because it's trendy and there's hype, or are they realizing this is something big? I really have to figure out how to get on with this. I want my company to stay competitive. I don't quite know how to do it or what it is, or don't have a direction. Like, which is it? Is it the trendiness or is it the understanding of the urgency of this?
Well, I think they're both, but the hype is more common. They're like, oh, this is new technology coming out, and I don't want to be my sons call it the FOMO.
Mhm,
I don't know
mhm.
if you're related with that concept.
Yeah,
I mean,
fear
they
of
want to
missing
be
out.
left
Yeah,
out. So
yeah.
that's the main concept that they don't want to be left out. They don't want to say their company is not doing something with AI. And let's do something. And there's the first thing when the general manager, the owner of the company, thinks something like that, the first thought that it comes in their mind is AI is in the technology side. So it's in the technology people who needs to solve the AI for the company. And that's paradigm, right?
Okay, that's fascinating. We have talked about that before. I would like you to express your view on that whole thing. I'm in full agreement with you. AI is not an IT issue.
Right.
What's your take on that?
You frame it well, the way that I see it. And I don't want to talk a lot about my book because it's just
Why
like a
don't you want to talk a lot about your book? I'm fascinated to hear about it, unless there's secrets that we have to wait until March 4th.
Okay, okay. No, I can do that. Their concept is there's a lot of technology in AI. It's of course, it's technology, but the technology itself doesn't solve problems. You need to figure out the problem first. We know that forever, that 50% of the solution is knowing your problem. Remember,
Absolutely.
there's
Which
there's a
sounds
lot
so
of
simple, yet.
that sounds so simple, but the thing is sometimes we forget the basics. And then the basics are there. So the first thing that you need to do is to even use technology, you need to solve a business problem.
Mhm.
So sometimes you don't focus on the business problem, you focus on the trending of the AI trending. And this the most of the failures of the project, putting technology first instead of putting solving what problem to solve first. What is the
Right.
concept? So putting back into your question, the first thing that I've been seeing in the companies is not like looking for solve a problem first. They want to use the technology and think the technology itself that's going to help the business.
Is the solution. It's not.
Right, 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 right. And it's been happening like that in the technology side, let's say like forever, talking about the 70s, the 60s, the
Mm,
80s. It's been happening in the same way. The thing is the AI, and it's a big trend, and it's a technology that really rise the famous 100 million users in 3 months.
yeah.
That high, it was like derail everybody. Everybody knows, they really don't know, but everybody's talking and using it. So that's another big issue in the company, right?
Hmm,
If there are
hmm.
a lot of people that's using that technology, how we can govern or how we can just put some tracks on that kind of concept, culture, and technology, right?
Yeah, I would comment there that just because you have people in your organization who are individually and unilaterally using AI, for example, ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, that doesn't make your company AI ready. And you,
Right,
as the management or the CEO or the owner of the business, you have no control over what they're doing, nor do you understand the impact they're having. It could be anything from no positive impact to actually a very negative,
right,
dangerous
right, right,
impact
right. And maybe some intellectual property going
is being
around.
leaked.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, okay, so the businesses are not looking at this in terms of AI is only a solution if I've identified actual problems that I need solved, in which there's ROI. And as you mentioned it, we have so many people that are using it. Are you seeing many companies that have adopted from the top down any kind of AI strategy for their business or champions within their business, within their company?
No, honestly, no. And I haven't seen many, like you said. And that if you see that statistically, it's the
Hmm.
same concept around the world, not even Mexico, not even Latin America. It's around the world, the same concept. 3 to 5%, something there, are the fuel of is the percentage of the positive projects in AI
Mm.
because they're the ones that are putting together the project the way that you're saying, framing the problem, understanding what every part of the organization needs to be ready, needs to be trained, and putting together the orchestration. I used the word orchestration since almost the beginning. And it's a word that I use a lot in the book because you need to orchestrate. It is complicated. It's not easy. It is complicated, but it requires orchestration.
So we're hearing actually a lot of elements as much as we're not identifying as such. We're hearing so many elements that are that's part of being AI ready. Having your strategy, having identified the problems that are most feasible for you to solve with AI right now, having your teams ready, having the training in place. So, just from your perspective, do you have, for you, when you think about it, what does AI ready or AI readiness actually mean for you? And what does it look like when a company is truly AI ready?
Oh, that's a question like for the next 3 hours answer. Okay.
Okay, we'll speed it up.
Yeah. The thing is that question, several companies ask me, can you give us some training about AI in the executive level? And then they go like, we just have like 2 hours or maybe 20 minutes, an hour, right?
Oh, yeah,
So,
sure.
so this is what you're asking is kind of the same thing is to me, to answer that is a big answer. That big answer, that's why I wrote the book, because the book it has the answer and it's not like the full answer. It's just like a big general idea of what you require in every of the angles. If
Mm,
I want, I like to make this analogy. Just imagine that this your company. I just love the Irish dancing, or I love the all this symphony, Beethoven and Vivaldi. When
yeah,
you have the full symphony, it is what you have in your company. You have a lot of people. You have at different places, and different instruments,
mhm,
and at different timing, different moments, and somebody need to be orchestrate everything.
right.
So what it means in putting together the idea that your question is your leaders needs to understand where they need to figure to solve, right? And then if that, what are the big problems of the company? And then you need to analyze if those problems require AI, because a lot of the times that I have seen in the companies, they don't even require AI.
Okay, I have a question. I have a question. You
Okay,
said I like you
a
started
question
the
into the question,
into the question. This is an emerging, evolving kind of conversation.
right?
So you said the leadership has to think about this deeply, identify the problem, but they don't just then hand that off to IT and say, take care of that, right?
Right,
The leadership has to stay involved
right.
and understand and be part of the decision making all the way through.
It's a very important thing that you just said. The leadership needs to be involved all the time because they need to tell the IT people, you need the IT people, but you need, let's say, the readiness department can be HR or not. The change management department, it can be HR or not. It will depend on the organization. But you need to have all the training set up for every of the roles because into a big organization, you have different roles and every roles may have a different training. So the readiness organization and the IT organizations needs to talk and say, okay, this is the readiness for each role, right? So putting together again, you need the leadership to understand one of the big things that the leader need to understand is the idea or the problem that I need to solve is a problem that it can be solved again through AI or not. A lot of the times they don't even require AI, just a common digital transformation like the old days 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Now those are the old days, like 2 years
Hmm.
ago. So, and the point is, when you know when you understand that is the problem, you need to understand that if that AI problem is going to be solved, it is a small problem that you're going to solve in 3 weeks, 6 weeks. But that problem that you have, it will require like 3 months, 5 months.
A
But that
year.
is a really big problem that you will require as 8 months, a year and a half. So
Yeah.
there's some big AI projects, and so many of the people think that AI solving problem,
Yeah.
it's a prompting problem, and you need to understand the full project, the full problem, and then the full solution.
Yeah.
And they don't have to understand the details, but they need to see, okay, this project is going to be like a 6 month project.
Hmm.
There's at least that kind of awareness they need to have in order to say, okay, because in that time, you will need to expend a lot of investment there and that investment need to fit in your ROI that you're
Yes.
thinking and you're saying. And I know for the conversation that we had before, you love to think always in your ROI. And that's true. But what is the thing? You need to see. the leader needs to understand the size of the project that is in his mind.
Yeah, I think too many people think of the application of AI as like a magic trick or a band-aid, and whoa, we've done something that's
We got
magically
it.
changed it. It's a transformation for your
Exactly.
organization, and that takes time. You are actually, you will look back at this in 5 years or 10 years, assuming you do it successfully and you're still around. You'll look back at this and you will realize that there was before we implemented AI and then there was after, and we are such a different operation since then. So yeah, you can't expect this to happen overnight. And you have to be so aware and paying attention. And as you said, have the strategy and be involved.
This led me to some question that you haven't asked.
Okay.
Like you come out as this is the conversation, like you said, you talk about this transformation concept, right?
Mm.
And so many of my conversation with the leaders, I try to explain them. Whenever you're putting together an ERP, a new ERP transformation project, how big is it, or how stressful is it, or how problematic is for your organization? Always they said, or they're really maybe some vocal on that, or at least they go like the rolling eyes and everything, right? So when I say to them, if AI is not harder than that, you're not doing AI right.
I love that. This is not more painful than ERP, but okay. I think that's setting expectations.
It is more
But
people. I love what you're saying. It is more people. That's what it is.
I guess we have to look at it as, yeah, this is going to be even more challenging than your ERP implementation because this is true fundamental transformation of how you operate.
Right, because that's what it really is. It's transformational project, and the difference between ERPs and AI learn,
Yep.
and when it learns, you need to know the come up of that learning.
Yeah.
So that's why it comes with more problematic or more is well, let's say problematic than the ERP's setting or digital transformation, right?
Okay, I have a question about that. You and I are going deep on those details, and I guess that would be to some extent expectation setting. Like this is not just a little fix. But for the business person or even the individual, the professional who's looking at like, how do I become AI ready? This can sound like, oh, it's impossible. I'm just not going to bother. What is your thought about the attitude right now, 3 years into this very rapid AI trajectory for businesses or individuals who are thinking, yeah, I'll just wait. What we've just said makes it sound
It's a
very
struggle.
complex.
It's a struggle. It's a struggle. It's complex. So many people that already are trying or already tried
Mhm.
AI and the AI didn't work for whatever reason didn't work. They don't believe right now in AI.
Mhm.
It's not because the AI doesn't work. The AI didn't work in that project, but in the right way. They didn't frame the problem. They didn't do a lot of the homework that you need to do. Anyways, getting into your question, okay, you can do that, but you're gonna be left behind. And as AI really accelerates, whenever it comes into this specific point of time in your company,
Yep.
you will not be able to catch up with the other ones that they're starting before, right?
Yeah.
So even if you don't like it, even if you don't think, don't go in, let's wait, don't wait. Maybe if you failure, that's okay. There's no problem. But you're gonna learn about the failings. But you can't take the I can't wait. You need to go there. You need to tackle the AI concept and put it together as something to start learning how the AI can improve your company. We need to say to your audience, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't wait.
Waiting, waiting is not a strategy.
Waiting is
Yeah,
not.
yeah, things are not going to go well if you do that. Um, so you've given us all kinds of ideas of what the companies that are moving forward positively and moving towards AI readiness they have in place. They have, as we've said, the CEOs involved. They've got all of the management levels are involved in the strategy. They're all trained. The workers are trained. There's skill, expertise. And it's not just technical. We just don't need a bunch of engineers. All the other people who are using it need to be AI proficient as well.
Strategic AI capability. That's what separates professionals who stay relevant from those who don't. The Strategic AI Intensive builds that capability in just 5 sessions over 9 days, using hands-on experiential learning. No brain-numbing tech lectures, just AI for what matters most for you. One graduate called it a year's worth of progress in just 5 sessions. Find out if it's the right fit for you at intensive.ofcoursepro.com.
Now, what is the one thing that you're seeing between the companies who are successfully in Mexico or outside Mexico, successfully implementing AI and getting ROI from it? What are they doing beyond that? Because those are the steps. Is it simply that?
There's a saying, I need you to help me how to translate this in it.
Okay.
There's a saying, by the way, it's in the Formula One movie, the same concept of the Mexican saying that says, despacio que tengo prisa. How you can translate that?
Oh, the slow wins the prize.
Slow wins the prize? Okay.
Yeah, kind of
So
like
the thing
the
is,
tortoise and the hare. Yeah.
the thing is, everybody wants to go like really quick, but that is not the point. We need, and there's another thing that I'm using in the book. I maybe a little more than a year, I was in a specific pitch in a university, and that they were saying, we were talking about the same things, the same concept, more.
Year ago. Wow.
Just remember something. My book is about methodology, not technology. We're
Mhm.
not failing because of technology. We are failing
Absolutely not. It's
for
not
the
the tech,
methodology.
it's us.
It's us, and the technology is really fast. But we need to keep moving, not as fast as the technology, but we need to keep moving. And then that idea, I don't know, I don't remember right now how I come that idea. Say that you need to put some basic layers at the beginning and then putting together layers and layers and layers. And that my example, my analogy was related to the Maslow pyramid. The Maslow pyramid says you just need to start to have some basic things for you.
Yep.
You need to like food, you need to like cleanness
Basic
and
survival.
the basic things. And then you start evolving, right?
Mhm.
The AI is the same concept. You just can start in a big project with the AI
Mhm.
because you don't have the basis in your organization
Mhm.
to can handle that. For example, one of the first problems that we have when we want to start a project in the AI project is the data. The data is not right.
Yes.
Everybody has a different concept of data. It says, oh, I have different data. Like somebody says in Mexico. Anyways, that's a local Mexican joke. Anyways, I'm sorry for
Okay.
that. I shouldn't say that. But anyways, the point here is if you see, for example, what were yesterday's sales? You ask different department, what typically comes out is a different answer because there's no like governance or framework uh, concept of what it's been like the real data that the company will use as to respond this question, right? So everybody comes out with a different answer because that's what they know. They're not like bad people or something. It's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
it
yeah.
is. They think that it is. So you need to put that like a framework of concepts to begin with. What it means based in this concept of data through the full
Mhm.
company, the across the company. So the most of the projects of AI projects needs to start with data projects, cleanness,
As we know, and Julie Sweet, the CEO of Accenture, 2 years ago, January of 2024, gave an amazing, eye-opening talk where she said less than 10% of all, and at that time it was American companies, are even close to ready to be able to efficiently implement AI because their data is not ready. They have for decades not really had really compelling reason to have their data governance and their all their data engineering in this immaculate, clean structure that the AI needs to read it in. The AI, they've come up with some workarounds since that time to work with companies whose data might be subpar. But yes, the data is a huge obstacle. If you
right?
don't have the data, how does the AI understand your operation?
So what you said, what means to be like AI-ready company, there's a lot of things. But in the case of my book, I talk a lot about the fuel of your boat. Again, talking about this Seneca concept,
Yep.
I talk about the boat, the ship, and for example, I talk about the wind, and I talk the engine, and sometimes the wind derails you, and the winds
Mhm.
can be a lot of different ideas, like not having the data right, trying to make some this proof of concept just to have with not ROI or something like that. So
Mhm.
there's things that can be
Of course.
derailing you through the
Mhm,
project,
mhm,
and
mhm.
then you need your compass to keep on track,
Right.
right?
Okay.
And it is the fuel. If you don't have fuel,
Is the
then
data.
no. The data is the fuel. It's like the way that I'm putting together the context of the book. But the
Mm.
data, to me, in this case of the book, is the fuel of the project. You can do whatever you want, but if you don't have the data right, you don't have a fuel enough to do any kind of project.
I really appreciate you had walked me through, yeah, I got a sneak peek of the book, and you had walked me through the structure of the book and how it can be used, because one of the comments I had given you was n- even less now than in the past decade or so, people don't want to read large amounts of material. We want it quickly, we want it in a very condensed form. And you had showed me that you have your book broken down. There's a part in the beginning that shows you if you're the CEO, at very minimum, just hit chapter, for example, I'm not
Right.
probably going to name the right chapters, hit chapter 2, 10, and 12. And if you're HR, hit these chapters. Thought that was extremely logical and a great way for people to access your book. So tell us a little more about your book. If someone is thinking, I really need to figure out where I'm going with AI, I know we have to do it. As we've said, waiting is not a strategy. How does your book help a business owner, or can it even help the individual professional who's trying to figure out, what am I supposed to be doing to get ready for this?
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate you coming with this. One of the biggest problems, well, problem is the right word, but one of the big things that I always have say, they go like, we don't have time. Suddenly the X Gen became millennial or centennial. We don't have time. We want to be everything quickly. In 30 seconds TikTok, something like that, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's understandable. We have a lot of things to do and a lot of things to match up with the operation. I understand that.
Mm.
So that's the main reason of what I
Yeah.
said about how to use it at the really beginning, how to use this book. If you're like a IT people, if you're HR people, if you're AI counsel, there's a different chapter that you need to read. That's like the very basics of it. And the idea, honestly, for me is I can hook up you as good as the content is, it could
Yes.
be, so you can read the full book. But there's this is, let's say, this very basic. It's a 200 and something, almost 250 pages book, the full book.
Yes.
And believe me, it's just the general things. It's not even detailed.
Oh,
There's a lot more detail that's required to put together a project,
yeah.
an AI, a really AI
Oh, it's
project.
an enormous topic, and it's also new
It's
for
an
all of
enormous
us.
topic, a lot of depth, right?
Mhm.
Something that I really want to share with your audience is this book, the methodology that is exposing in this book is for, let's say, medium to large size company. What it means is not for a small company, not because not I don't want it. The thing is, there's a different reasons. But what I really want to explain you your audience right now, it's
Okay.
different methodologies. If you're a small company, this is could be not your method, the best methodology, because it's different. If you work individually, like just like you're your own boss and you have your own things, the AI adoption is with a different concept.
Mhm.
So this book is really thinking of the, let's say, medium-sized company that you need to have different departments like HR, like IT, like it talks about the orchestration required for the
Right.
full company and the readiness and the change management, so you can put together a good AI project in your company.
Mm-mm. And I was so surprised to find our language of communication tends to be English. Sometimes we take it over to Spanish, but for the most part, it's English. But I was so surprised to see that your book is actually written in English. Now, why was that? And secondarily, will there be a Spanish version?
Yeah, well, originally I wanted to release both languages, in
Uh-huh.
Spanish and English. For timing reason, budget reason, being very honest,
Mhm.
it's just coming out the English version first. It's going to be in the electronic book, a paper book as well. But the main reason is to be in English right now. It's like it is. It is not like a local problem.
Global.
Yeah, we haven't shared to your audience. I'm related. The book doesn't have any brand of any kind of ITA
Professionals.
concepts. Really, is
Yeah.
not brand that is, but pure
Yeah.
methodology. Even though once I said that, I have the privilege to be the chapter of the IMCP president. What's the IMCP? You can say it's back in 1996. It was a big idea of putting together the Microsoft partners around the world. So Bill Gates started this association in different continents. So I've been a part of the IMCP member for the last 4 years. Right now, I'm the president of the Mexico chapter, and also I'm the chairman of Latin America. Being there in the last 4 years, I have a lot of relationship with the United States, different chapters. There's almost 50 chapters in the United States, with Europe and in Asia, and different. So I have a lot of understanding for mainly for this reason of what is happening in the AI around the world.
Right.
Even and it's just a certain concept and certain problem. Some different countries are a little bit ahead, talking about this kind of companies, not talking about something different. Let's say I said legacy companies,
Yep.
companies that have been in the business for 60 years, 70 years, 80 years. IT is not their main concept of what the value of the company or the core of the business is.
Mhm.
And then they need to adopt technology to move their company, right? So almost around the world have the same problem. And that is the
Mhm.
main reason that once I decide that I need to release just one language, I
Yep.
decided.
So we're going to have Spanish and French and German and Japanese.
I don't know. Maybe just Spanish, and that would be good. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But at least I know that it's going to come out maybe in a month or so, the Spanish version of it.
Awesome. So we're looking at March 4th for the release of the English version.
Right.
And so hopefully people are going to be really paying attention to this whole drop and finding out where they can get this book. I don't know if you've got it. I would love to be able to release links for pre-sales or for people to be able to get a look at the book with the podcast. But just in closing, I want to tap into your expertise in this whole area of the business and IT and AI. If a business leader is listening to this conversation right now, and maybe they've already experimented with AI, as many people have experimented, or maybe they haven't. In your estimation, what is the one thing that they should be focusing on in the next 90 days that's actually going to move them from AI experimentation towards AI ready?
That's
Other
a
than read your book.
yeah. No. That's a
Okay.
great color than read my book. The first thing that I would say is frame your problem. You need to understand what you need to solve first. The prioritization of the problem, because maybe you can have more than one problem. It can be like 3, 4. And then you say, okay, which one am I gonna move first? Because there are several concepts like are the people ready, the data ready. So it's quite okay. This is more impactful for the company, but we're not ready yet, for example, with the data. So framing the problem and then understanding how ready is the company for tackle that problem. That will be like my answer of the first 90 days.
That sounds fantastic. I like that. Okay. So just to close, once again, the book AI with a Compass is dropping on March the 4th. It is in English and it will be available in hard form as well as the ebook version. And I will be dropping links with this podcast as to where you can get connected with Eduardo and his company. But for that is going to be it for today. Eduardo, I want to thank you so much for being here with me today, telling us about your book and talking about some of these really important aspects of AI readiness.
Honored and thankful of your time and being here with your audience. And I really hope that whatever that I'm sharing with you right now in your podcast has been helpful for you and obviously for your audience.
I think it has been. Thanks so much. I'll be talking to you soon. And I will be there for the launch of your book.
That's great.
See you there. Bye.
That's